Hello, everyone. My name is Oriel Kaduyok, and I am one of the reporters of Group 3. So, today we will talk about realism, emphasis on facts, and observable reality. Before anything else, let us first remember the objectives of this lesson. First, we need to explain how realism influences curriculum and teaching methods. Second, we need to compare realist education with other educational philosophies. And the last one, we need to appreciate the value of learning from real life experiences. Before we dive into our lesson for today, I want you to observe these pictures here. There are two pictures. Now, maybe some of you think that the first picture, as you observe there are three students, they are experimenting. And the second picture, as you can see, there's a boy and there's a lot of books and he is reading a book there. Now, this entails for us educators of what should education actually prepare students for? Abstract ideals or the real world they will live in. So that's why today we will talk about realism, emphasis on facts and observable reality. Now let's talk about realism. What was it? So if we talk about realism, this holds that the physical world is objective and factual, while personal feelings and desires are secondary. So unlike idealism, which suggests that reality is shaped by the mind, realism asserts that external objects and events exist in their own right. So independent of whether any human think about them or perceives them. The word real in realism is not incidental. It signals a commitment to what actually exists, not what is imagined or theorized in abstraction. So it means that realism focuses on things that truly exist in the real world, not just ideas, imagination, or theories. So, in simple terms, if you're reading about plants, that is not realism. That is not enough. So, if you observe or when you plant a seed, that is realism and that is a real learning. So, this is Aristotle. So, Aristotle is widely regarded as the father of realism. He diverged from his teacher Plato by asserting that reality is rooted in physical world, that matter possesses both universal and particular properties. So for Aristotle, education should cultivate rational thought and help individuals achieve a balanced life marked by intellectual, physical, and moral development. So it means education should help people think logically and make wise decisions. So at the same time, it should develop the whole person's mind, body, and character to live a well balanced and meaningful life. So these are the forms of realism in education. We have scholastic realism, humanistic realism, social realism, and sense realism. So as realist philosophy developed through the 15th to 17th centuries, it took on distinct forms when applied to education. So each form reflects a different emphasis on what real knowledge means and how it should be taught. Now let's identify these forms of realism. First, we have scholastic realism. Now, what is scholastic realism? So this realism developed during the medieval period as thinkers tried to combine Christian beliefs with the philosophy of Aristotle. So it focused on knowledge from trusted authorities and used logical reasoning to understand ideas. Instead of discovering new knowledge, learning was about explaining and organizing what was already known. Teaching was done through reading important texts, or what we called lectio, and engaging in structured debates, or as what we call disputatio. So helping students think clearly and logically. Now let's proceed to the second form of realism. So we have humanistic realism. So humanistic realism developed as a response to classical humanism, which focused too much on the style and beauty of ancient texts. Instead, realists believe that what matters more is the content and ideas found in literature, especially how this can be applied to real life. So they valued Greek and Roman works not for their elegance, but for the practical lessons they offer. Thinkers like Francois Rabelais and John Milton supported this idea, emphasizing learning that is useful in everyday life. Next form of realism, we have the social realism. So, social realism refers or focuses on preparing individuals for real life society, especially in dealing with people and public affairs. So, it teaches that education should not be limited to books but should also include real world experiences like travel, social interaction, and engaging with different kinds of people. So thinkers like Michael de Montaigne believe that true learning comes from both study and experience. So helping a person become practical and capable in everyday life. Lastly, we have sense realism. Now, what is sense realism? So, this realism represented a decisive shift towards science and sensory experience as the basis for all learning. So, it attached greater importance to the study of natural sciences and contemporary social life than to language or classical literature. So, Johann Amos Comenius, often called the father of modern education, was its most influential voice. So Comenius believed that the human mind, like a mirror, reflects everything around it, and that gathering knowledge through the senses was the primary task of education. He structured the educational journey into four developmental stages and insisted that all knowledge useful to a child's life should be taught, including the mother tongue and vocational skills. Now, these are the core principles of realist education. Knowledge from senses is true, focus on objective reality or objectivism, learning through observation and experience, emphasis on experimentation in science, active learning, and passive, organized in logical sequence. So, across these forms, several principles remain consistent. Realism holds that knowledge acquired through the senses is true. So, and that what we observe and perceive in the real and true entity of the world. So this is why realism is sometimes described as objectivism. It places the external observable world above subjective interpretation. So in education terms, this means that students should learn through direct interaction with the world around them, through observation, experimentation, and scientific inquiry. Rather than simply reading about the laws of physics, students should conduct experiments that demonstrate those principles in action. So all learning relies on experience, both direct and indirect, and both must be presented to students in a logical and psychological sequence. So the aim is not passive reception of facts but active engagement with reality. Now, these are the philosophers who supported the idea of realism. First, we had John Locke. So, John Locke is known as the founder of empiricism, emphasizing that knowledge comes from experience. He introduced the idea of the mind as tabula rasa, or blank slate, or blank sheet, meaning individuals are not born with innate ideas. Locke rejected rationalist views and argued that all knowledge is gained through interaction with the real world. He believed that education should focus on providing meaningful experiences to shape learning and development. So his goal on education was to form a person with a sound mind and sound body capable of functioning well in society. So he also promoted a practical curriculum including subjects like languages, science, mathematics, and social studies, along with the moral and character development. Next, we have this another philosopher named Bertrand Russell. So for Russell, developing intelligence meant creating the conditions for genuine thinking. So he argued that opportunities should be provided for students to think, that actual teaching time should be reduced, and that more time should be given to participation in discussion and debate. So curiosity is the thing that he insisted that was prerequisite for the development of intelligence. So Russell recommended a general and compulsory curriculum for children up to the age of 14 that included ancient literature, modern languages, mathematics, science, geography, music, and dance. So a broad foundation rooted in observable and verifiable. So Russell also held strong views on the role of the teacher. He described teachers as the true guardians of civilization, requiring not extraordinary talent but up-to-date knowledge, sound teaching methods, sympathy, and patience. He also co-founded an external school, the Beacon Hill School, whose prospectus stated that morality and reasoning should arise from children's actual experience and democratic group, not from adult authority alone. So the realist philosophy has had a direct and lasting influence on how curricula are structured. So the curriculum should include science, mathematics, social studies, languages, and the humanities subjects that enable humans to adapt, grow, and develop in their natural and social environment. Science education, in particular, is seen as central because it deals directly with observable phenomena and the laws of nature. In terms of teaching methods, realism emphasizes sense training, learning that engages sight, touch, and a direct observation. So communist emphasizes sense training above all, locks stress observation and experimentation, an inductive method moving from specific observations to general principles. So in favored over purely deductive reasoning. So field trips, laboratory experiments, and hands-on projects are natural expressions of the realist classroom. So realism informs contemporary education methods, particularly essentialism, which stresses the importance of essential knowledge for functioning in society. So the goal is not learning for its own sake, but learning that equips students with the skills and knowledge they need to navigate real life successfully. So these are my reflection about this topic. Education should prepare learners for real life society and practical living. Knowledge is based on sense experience, observation, and scientific evidence. Learning is most effective when it is hands on, experiential, and experimental. Curriculum should include useful and practical subjects like science, math, languages, and social studies. So teachers should guide students in critical thinking, not memorization. So education aims for adaptability, skills, and civic participation. Realism strongly influence modern evidence-based education. And the limitation for this, it may underemphasizes arts, emotions, and creativity. So that's the end of my topic for today. I hope you've learned something. So if you have any questions regarding about this topic, realism, you can drop your questions in our comment section. I will answer that one for you. Thank you so much, and thank you for listening. Goodbye.